Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the final installment of our Google Forms tutorial. We're going to be looking here at how to view and analyze responses to a form. We're going to do this through the lens of a quiz. So these were graded submissions, but you could follow the same procedure to look at the data if you were just collecting information. So let's take a look. We should be on our form, and we've been working in this tab that says questions up here. We're actually going to go to the one next to it that says responses. And when I do that, on the first screen that appears, I should see what they call the summary screen. At the top, it'll tell me how many people have responded to my form. So it's been 8. I went in 8 separate times and took this quiz just for demonstration purposes. If I scroll down, I start seeing data. We have an insights section. So my average score, my median score, and the range of scores, and then a distribution of how many students got what. So I can see that 1 student got a 0, 5 students got a 5, and 2 students got a 10 out of 10. Moving further down the line, I can see individual student scores. This is great for when you need to put things into your gradebook. You can just split your screen and put this on one side, your gradebook on the other, and go down and enter the scores. Nice and easy. All right, then we start to see a breakdown of questions. Our first question was your name, so I just see what the students have typed as their response. And then I get down to my multiple choice questions. Number 1 was who is the narrator of the story, and I gave the students 4 choices. Now here I can see that 4 of them, or 50%, got the correct answer, at that 1 chose answer A and 3 chose answer C. So I know that I probably need to maybe rediscuss this or reiterate this item maybe on another assessment or something like that. This gives me the data I need to justify reteaching, as well as to have evidence if a student is struggling, if a student is not comprehending the story or something like that. This helps me kind of justify why I make that claim. So that's what your multiple choice questions will look like. It'll give you a breakdown of how many students got it right and the percentages for each of the answer choices. Going back to the top, we had summary is where we've been working. We'll go to question. If I choose question, this is going to give me as many screens as I want based on the number of questions that I have. So question 1, for example, was this: your name first and last. I don't need to do anything with that. If I hit next question, it does take me to question 1, who is the narrator of the story? And I have a more detailed breakdown of the answers. So here's the correct answer, Scout Finch, and I have that was correct. It's worth 5 points, and I can just leave it alone. I also see 3 students that marked Atticus Finch here. Let's say that for whatever reason, I had a test question where maybe there was some ambiguity, and I decided maybe to give students partial credit for something. What I could do here, I could go in, and right now the computer has given them 0 out of 5. That's what I had told it to do previously. Let's say I'm going to give them a point just because they did get the right family, just the wrong person, for example. I would do that. I would click the check mark, and then I would click save, and that would allow for some partial credit. Okay, so it's kind of a neat feature, especially if you realize after making an assessment that maybe there was some confusion, or maybe you making the test perhaps made an error of some kind or had 2 answer choices that were the same. You can go in and manipulate that. The third tab at the top for individual, this is excellent for data collection because you can see on your screen each student's quiz test responses just as if it were a sheet of paper. So for example here, if I'm going to go to the next one because this was my teacher response, my first student was Tommy. Tommy here looks like he got a 5 out of 10. And if I scroll down, I can see he missed number 1 and what the correct answer would be. He got number 2. So what I can do is I can print this. So I have a piece of evidence. If I were to take this into a IEP meeting or a parent-teacher conference or something, and it wasn't feasible to pull it up on my computer, I can print and have this piece of tangible evidence of the students' responses. I also can delete it. If Tommy, for example, let's say he took the quiz that day and we've decided that our school has a assessment retake policy and Tommy wanted to retake his quiz and I needed to get rid of the old one, I could just click this delete response and it would disappear and he would then be allowed to retake it. Okay? Last thing I'd like to show you as far as responses are concerned is up here at the top. We have a couple of options. We have a green button that says create spreadsheet, and we have 3 dots, which are just our settings. We can do a couple things under settings. We can turn on email notifications for new responses. What that means is each time a person filled out your form, you would get an email saying someone had completed it. Down here at the bottom, we can print, we can download, or we can delete. This is a good idea if you go year to year with the same course and you have an assessment made. You don't need last year's students' grades in your form anymore, so you can delete those responses so you don't have to navigate through those. But I'm going to go back here to my spreadsheet button that I alluded to a moment ago. I'm going to click create spreadsheet, and it's going to default to create a new spreadsheet with the name of the form and the word responses in parentheses. I'll click create, and when I do that, I will get an automatic new tab with a spreadsheet. This spreadsheet here goes line by line. These each represent different responses to my form. I know who submitted it. I know what score they got. I know what their names were. I know what they answered for each question. It's the same data that we had in the form response tab, but it's just another format if you prefer to have a spreadsheet. You also can do some different things with this using Google add-ons or different tables, data tables, things like that, if you are more familiar with using spreadsheets. So this is just another way to have your records of your form responses. That's pretty much all the details we need to know about collecting and reviewing responses through Google Forms. What I've shown you here is a graded assessment, but if this was not a graded quiz, instead we were just asking people their opinions or to provide demographic information or something like that, we would have the same exact setup. The only difference is we would not have the grade factor, so it wouldn't give us any points or anything like that, but we would be able to see the summary of who answered what, the percentages. For example, if I was doing a poll, I could see percentages here in the form of a pie chart if I was doing that, or I would just have fill in the blank answers like these, and they just give you shaded lines showing your students' responses or your respondents' answers. So it's pretty simple, it's pretty easy, and it's all recoverable unless you go to delete responses. So this data is backed up in your form and in the spreadsheet if you tell it to do so. I always recommend that. All right, that should conclude our Google Forms tutorial series. Feel free to watch any of these videos again in order to get the results you need. Thank you for your time.